Hey guys, and welcome to another Clue Time. This is coming to you guys very, very late this time around because I've had an exceptionally busy week. I've been at late shifts at work all week and I am just shattered, like seriously shattered, and I'm barely able to pull myself together enough to get this episode done. But it's been quite an interesting week. I went for a sports massage on Monday and I've I realised that I've got a really, really big knot around here in my neck, they discovered. And it's no surprise because if you guys have seen my dancing videos, a lot of them involve a lot of like shoulder movement. So unfortunately, I think a lot of that, plus me being quite nervous sometimes, and I tend to hunch my shoulders up, has knotted me up like that. So it's very interesting how they loosen you up. Like it's proper pressure on the the area to sort of loosen up the muscles, and it's very, very painful, but it works. It's good. It's very good. But I'm absolutely exhausted after this week. Absolutely exhausted, and yeah, I'm yawning as we speak, so I'm just going to have to try my hardest to get this episode out because I really want to keep doing this for you guys. So yeah, let's crack on. We had a lot to get through this week, and I'll tell you what, this week's clue package took me a while to put together. Let's just say that. And yeah, I gotta say, it was an interesting one because I think I've finally figured out who everyone is. I'm happy to say that I finally figured out who everyone is now, which is good because last week I still had quite a few loopholes in who I thought people were. So yeah, let's crack on and get through them. So, kicking off the night, we had Phoenix. Now, his clue packages are still so cryptic. I still don't quite get his clues. You know, because there's never. I still think it's Ricky Wilson. I still think it's Ricky Wilson, but I haven't had one clue so far about the Kaiser Chiefs, which is crazy, or not one that I can pick out anyway, like that easily. Um, but I did actually go back and look at his first clue package and all this talk about reincarnation, him being a phoenix, you know, born from the ashes. He did have an incident a few years ago where he got quite drunk before a gig and he was, you know, talking in slurred speech as you would if you were drunk. And after that, he vowed that he would try and get himself clean and sort himself out. So I think that's where all of that's going. But this week's clue package was particularly interesting because there was a lot of reality TV shows mentioned, but I had a look. None of them are ones that Ricky has made an appearance. He hasn't been on a Strictly Christmas special. He hasn't been on Dancing on Ice. He hasn't been on Celebrity Apprentice. So I was starting to really get confused by that. Um, but then suddenly I realised he's mentioned every single like talent or reality TV show under the sun except The Voice, where he has actually been a judge. So I wonder if all of those other reality TV shows were just red herrings to try and throw the panel off. Um, because, you know, he's done the one that he hasn't mentioned. Stranger things have happened on this show, we don't know. Um, Now, the next clue, there was another reference to art. I think that is another pointer to the fact that he has his own art show on CBBC, which is a very good one. I actually, obviously, I've outgrown CBBC now, so I haven't been in the loop about what's been going on or who's got shows on there now. But if he's got an art show, then good on him. Very good for you, Ricky. The one that really stuck me was the ball bearing. I wasn't really sure why that was in the clue package until I had a look at whether Ricky had any links to engineering. Apparently, since he's left the Kaiser Chiefs, he's developed quite the passion for racing, which a lot of celebrities are getting into these days. I know Kelvin Fletcher is a professional racing driver now, so it's interesting to see that Ricky Wilson's getting into that now as well. Now, the Clue song. This was an interesting one. I was fuming when I found out why he sang this song for his Clue. So, there was a parody Elton video of "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," featuring two celebrities dressing up as Elton and Kiki D. But those celebrities were Ricky and David Tennant, which the panel have also been guessing. So when I heard that, I was like, so yeah, I was like, don't make me doubt who it is now, please. Um, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm really hoping that this is Ricky because that doesn't sound like David Tennant's voice. I'm pretty certain that's not David. Um, Now, next up, we have Jellyfish. Now, I'm pretty certain that we all know who this is by now. I mean, it's so obviously Amber Riley at this point. There's just too many Glee clues for this not to be Amber Riley. I mean, she is the one person that I have figured out from episode one. She is like the one person that I had a feeling I knew who it was straight away. I know I did say it was Kelly Rowland at the start, but after I went back and listened to the voice again, I heard the grit and I recognised the comparison in the voices between Mars Singer US and now. Well, I'm pretty certain that's Amber, and the figure as well. I looked at the figure and I was like, hang on a second, that looks a little bit too. That looks a little bit too curvy to be Kelly Rowland. That looks a bit like Amber Riley's figure, and I was like, oh no. You guys know what I'm oh no about the whole thing. It's just why they don't give these contestants a break between shows just to sort of. I mean, obviously, not everybody in the UK is going to watch all the Masked Singer shows as profusely as I or certain other Masked Singer fans might, but it's annoying when we know that they have appeared in another country. So yeah, we'll let it slide. Now, obviously, there was the Overjoyed clue in there. That's another reference to Glee. Um, Now, the remove from the spotlight clue. That was a very clever one. She was removed from Glee as a main cast member in series 5. She and just became like a guest cast member for like that entire series, and then came back into the spotlight again in series 6. So that was an interesting one. The judge clue, I noticed there was the 4 jellyfish as well. I don't know what the wrench and that were references to. I couldn't find anything in connection to that, so I left that one. But she was a judge on the TV show with Gary Barlow, Let It Shine. And there were 4 judges, him included. Naught on. I wasn't too sure what that was. I don't know whether that was her British accent failing or not, or whether that was supposed to be naught. But I think that could be a reference to her covering I Have Nothing, both, I think, on her own and on American Masked Singer last year, which is a very, very clever reference. So yeah, but it's so obviously Amber at this point. But I love her. I love her. She is one of the best singers in the world. She is absolutely fantastic. Now, finally, I think I have found somebody for Otter that makes sense. Because I'm like, it's not Toya Wilcox because she's too tall, and Catherine Tate does sound like a good guess, but I don't think that's her voice. So I had a little chat with my mate again on Instagram, and he brought to me a new name, and suddenly it was like all the little cogs in my head suddenly went ding, because there was a witch adjacent, not adjacent. There was a witch reference from the clue package that I was missing. Witchfinder. And then all of a sudden it all made sense. Daisy May Cooper. Now, a lot of you might think, oh, that's not Daisy's figure. She's actually lost a lot of weight in recent years. She's done a real proper like slimming program. So yeah, I reckon she could easily fit into that otter costume now. And then I look back over all the previous clue packages and everything made sense. RADA, she trained at RADA and apparently she absolutely hated it. Which is appropriate because that sounds like something that she would hate, training at like a Royal Academy or something like that. The Vicar, that was a character from This Country. I'm not sure whether the rubber ducket falling into the pool was supposed to be like a splash clue, unless it's supposed to be like her suddenly being like a splash hit on British TV with her brother. But that's where I went with that. The Witch, obviously she wrote the sitcom The Witchfinder. Um, you might remember me from something a bit medical sounding. That was something that stumped me for a bit, but then I looked. She was in one of the first TV appearances that she ever did was on Doc Martin. How about that, eh? And the police hat, she was a police constable in Matthew Bainton and James Corden's sitcom The Wrongmans, which I watched a couple of episodes of, but I sort of trailed off it after a while because I didn't quite get the plot. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a ridiculous sitcom, but I'm not sure if it was for me. I might go back to it. The Kim K clue, that was an interesting one. I looked that up. She actually did a Kim K spoof dress up on Saturday magazine. And I tell you what, I saw the photos of her in that magazine cover, and I was like, oh my god, like, yeah, Jesus, kid, let's. Oh god, I'm gonna get into so much trouble for this, but I don't care. Yeah, Kim, see how you can compete with a woman whose butt is naturally that round. Oh god, I'm gonna get taken off YouTube for this. Okay, moving on. BAFTA, she's won several BAFTAs for her TV shows, including This Country and The Witchfinder. Emotion. She talked about getting an emotion out of people quite regularly, even when she doesn't intend to. That's laughter. I've got to admit, I can relate. Like, sometimes I'll be at social events and I'll say something that I don't intend to be funny, and people will just burst out laughing. And I'm like, what did I say? The Scarecrow, one of the episodes on This Country was themed around the Scarecrow Festival in the village. And finally, her clue song, 9 to 5. Dolly Parton has a song called Daisy May. So that was a very, very clever reference, I reckon. I have to say, she actually sang that song quite well, but this was the time when I thought, no, that's not Toya Wilcox, because I don't think Toya Wilcox would try and do that much of an American accent. Or maybe she might, because she sings in a very, very British manner. Toya does. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention about Jellyfish's clue song. Jonathan nailed it. Amber Riley does have her own song called Leave a Light On. So yeah, very, very good. But yeah, I'm pretty certain that Otter now is Daisy May Cooper. So yeah, I'm very, very happy about that. I just love how she embodies Otter. It's such a and that hamster. I hope we see more of that hamster next week, because he makes me laugh. Now it's time for my favourite man on the scene. It's Jacket Potato. Oh, I love Jacket Potato so much. He's just cool. I love a cool guy like him, and I love those old style rock voices as well, like him, Shannon Knoll, all those guys from back in the day. So good. Now I was wondering why he kept saying "It's me, Jack" all the time. Then suddenly I remembered, Jack can be another name for, or a nickname or something like that, for somebody called John. So I wonder if that's a subtle little reference to John Bon Jovi, because obviously everybody is thinking that this is Mr. Richie Sambora. Now he's talking about Jacket Potatoes being known in every single country of the world. Obviously Bon Jovi have done world tours. Now the 50 out of 100, I couldn't believe that I missed Jonathan saying this, but I was chatting to my friends and then all of a sudden I realised the 50 is out of 100 because it's halfway there. Wow, living on a prayer. Couldn't help myself. But yeah, Jonathan literally said halfway there. And I'm like, how do you not make that connection, you idiot? I'm literally losing my mind. It's driving me crazy. I've literally written down in my clue book here, duh, Jonathan. He's talking about being the foil. He was always considered to be the sidekick of the band, being as John Bon Jovi was the main singer. But actually, Mr. Sambora was a key part in writing a lot of Bon Jovi's songs, so you shouldn't really write people off like that just because they're not the main singer. I mean, it's like with AC/DC. Brian Johnson's the main singer, but everybody's always looking at Angus Young because he is the front man for the band. That's the way it is. Um, I couldn't figure out that out of order tap though. That one stumped me. So yeah, I'm gonna have to leave that one because that one's gonna drive me mad if I keep trying to find it. Now the song choice, "Smooth" by Carlos Santana. I don't know whether I wasn't sure whether the song title was a reference, but I went and looked. Apparently, Santana, the band, which obviously Carlos Santana was the frontman for, were around at the same time as Bon Jovi, and they were sort of in the same wheelhouse as each other. They met up quite a lot. They're quite good mates. Now that all the bands have sort of retired that and that. So yeah, I think that's where that reference comes in. Now, knitting. This is undoubtedly Claire Richards. It can't be anybody else. I was screaming at Jonathan Ross when he literally said steps while they were watching the video. I was like, yeah! So, let's go over the clue, shall we? Area of heavy footfall. Steps. Lots of steps. It is literally killing me how many times they have mentioned names of things that directly link to this character and they still haven't said the name. Oh god, it's awful. But yes. So yes, there was the church. Finally, we've got a tragedy clue. I've been trying to link so many clues to tragedy, and all the time they've been linked to other step songs. So finally, we've got that. Obviously, that was the church. She was talking about fairy tales on that. Claire Richards' wedding was described as a fairy tale wedding, so I think that might be where that links in. But maybe I'm reaching for the stars a bit on that one. Far Far Away, that was lyrics from a Steps song. I can't remember which one it is because I'm not a fan of Steps, I'm sorry. Breath of a Dragon, she was on a show called Get Your Act Together where different celebrities had to learn new acts and she got fire eating. Yikes. Honestly, I don't know how professional fire eaters do it. It scares the bejesus out of me. The Scrabble clue, that one threw me for a bit until I looked through a biographical website for Claire, and one of the first bands that she was in before Steps, they got their name by pulling 3 letters out of a Scrabble bag. That was a very, very subtle clue, so I like them very much for sticking that one in there. Now, the clue song was Secret Love Song by Little Mix. And I've never heard this song before, so I didn't realise what it represented. It is a big LGBTQ anthem, and obviously for a long time Steps have had a massive LGBTQ following, so I think that's where that ties in. Now, I am literally screaming my head off at Fawn's clue package this week, and I will tell you pourquoi. This is definitely Natalie Appleton. She literally said the names of 2 All Saints songs out loud in her clue package this week, and the judges heard nothing. Nothing. It is painful to watch them get it this wrong. It really is. So, yeah. So, yeah. They, oh, God. Oh, no, that's a later clue pack. I was trying to remember, I couldn't remember, I think Mo had mentioned, literally, a clue that was the right answer to one of the clue packages, but he just didn't put 2 and 2 together. But that wasn't for Fawn, it was for Rhino later on, so I'll get into that later. But The journey and the roads. She and she literally said the name of the song out loud. They all tie in to All Saints' song, Distance. All those roads, and she said she's travelled long distances. I don't even know any. And then she said I could take 3 or 4 flights a day. All Saints have a song called 3-4. It's that obvious, people. Oh god, it's just it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing how the judges can either overthink or overlook the obvious. Like if it's that obvious, they think, "Oh no, there's no way it's that obvious," because otherwise, we're trying to be too simple or some crap like that. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. But let me continue. 98 was on the front of the door. 1998 was the year when All Saints started. What was the year that All Saints won their first MOBO? So yeah, good on them for that. There were two fawns in like that mirror reflection. That was a very, very subtle nod to the fact that there were the two Appleton sisters in All Saints. So that was very, very good. Background, but also a leader. Obviously, in a lot of girl groups, sometimes one member might take the front, other times, they might share the roles. I have to say, that is the one thing that bugs me about the Pussycat Dolls, is the fact that Nicole Scherzinger is always front and centre. It's like to me, that's not a girl group. That's a main singer and 4 backup dancers. That's not a group. A group is people who get an equal opportunity to share the spotlight together. It's just she gives those girls no way to shine at all. So that's the only thing that bugs me about Nicole Scherzinger. She is a very good singer. I'll give her that, but I just don't think. I feel like she should have broken off from the Pussycat Dolls and done her own solo career and just let them shine on their own like ages ago. A bit like Robbie Williams did with Take That. Now, Natalie's. I'll just say Natalie now because I know it is her. Fawn's Clue song was Ironic by Alanis Morissette. Now, that could either be for two reasons. One, because because the Appleton sisters were born in Canada but obviously live over here now. Or the fact that the chorus was singing all about rain and they have a song called Summer Rain. So, yeah, there's two possibilities there. Now, I'm going to go through Pigeon's unmasked clues because I have to, otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. I'm honestly still recovering from the fact that I got this, like, so wrong. Like, I did not know, but the thing is, I didn't know that Catherine Ryan was such a big fan of Gemma Collins, so I had no reason to suspect her. But, yeah, I am a fan of her from, like, when she was on Mock the Week back in the day, so I just... Yeah, shocked. More because of the fact that it's not that the person underneath the mask wasn't British, and yet they did that convincing of an Essex accent. It's just like, wow. But it makes sense that she was doing it the whole time that she was under the costume, though, because obviously, it's a good way of disguising the fact that she's not British. Now, she explained most of the clues, she did the accent because she's a fan of Gemma Collins. The car clues were because she hosted All-Star Drive Time and she's friends with Jimmy Carr. The vegetables were, of course, building up to a roast, which Mo commented on. He said you have vegetables and mint sauce with a roast. So, kicking him for that one. The title was because she has her comedy series called The Duchess, which I have not watched, but from what I've seen, her character in that is positively loathsome. Like, she is so selfish. JR, of course, she's done roast battles with Mr. Jonathan Ross. She has a way of changing the way things are viewed. I'm not really sure what that's a reference to, other than the fact that she's been on a lot of comedy news shows. I'm sort of thinking that's where that's going. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think that's where that's going. Um, the Clue song, of course, they explain that Fight for This Love. She's done a lot of stand up about Cheryl Cole. She does a fairly good Geordie accent, but it's not. It could be a little bit more Geordie, I think. But she's actually quite good. She's very good at doing different accents. So yeah. Um, Obviously, she was very entertaining. So sad to see her go, but her voice just. Ugh. For me, hearing somebody do runs up and down a scale that badly is like hearing nails scraping down a chalkboard. It's just painful to the ears. Now, finally, we had Rhino. Now, I am positive now that this is Charlie Simpson from Busted. And personally, Rhino is my favourite, and I really want him to win because he has got such a lovely, pure, smooth voice. I love him so much. Now, there's one thing that I had noticed quite a lot that they've seemed to be repeating in the clue packages, and that's them showing his footsteps. I might be looking a little bit too much into this on this one, but I'm not sure because the Masked Singer are very, very subtle like this. But his footsteps are always shown thumping along the ground and making a lot of noise. And then I suddenly thought, thundering footsteps maybe? And of course, Busted have their song Thunderbirds Are Go. So that could be a very, very subtle reference to that. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But subtler clues have been put in on the Masked Singer. So yeah. The what was it called again? Oh yeah, the pugil stick. I never used to watch the TV show Gladiators, so I don't know what they're called. But yes, the pugil stick for the Gladiator reference was because Busted did a music video featuring them where they were doing like a gladiator style contest. So that's where that came from. Now the Rising Water clue was either a song reference to Charlie's song Riverbanks or the day that Texas sank into the ocean. I think that was the name of it. It was a very long song title, so I didn't memorise all of it. So, yes, very good. I actually suddenly remembered a previous song, a previous clue when I was looking through Busted's song list, which was Allow You to Break Through. They had a song called Can't Break Through. So I think that's where that comes in. And then there was the temperature clue. I've also fought against the temperature and come out victorious. He has performed a gig in one of the coldest temperatures on record, which was -30 Celsius. Honestly, if I did that, I'd freeze to death because I've got flaming noodle arms. I'd freeze within about 5 seconds. I didn't get the reference about him taking on two legends at the same time and winning. I couldn't find a reference to that, and I didn't really want to look through the news articles to see what other people had said about that because that kind of felt like that feels like cheating. But literally, this was why I was screaming at Mo. He literally said maybe it's somebody that's performed a gig in a cold temperature. And I was like, I am close to crying because you have said so many correct clues and yet you have not put them together with the right person still. Oh, it's so painful. But yes, the final clue song of the night was I Just Can't Wait to Be King from The Lion King, and Charlie has a song called When We Were Lions. So yeah, that is everybody. I reckon I have every single person in the Masked Singer now, and I am so happy. And I have to give a massive shout out to all the people that gave me some of the names that I have in this book right here. I never would have got Daisy May Cooper if it hadn't been for my mate on Instagram. Or Ricky Wilson for that matter, because I hadn't even considered Ricky as a guest before I started chatting to my friends in the group chat. And all the people online that were saying Richie Sambora and Charlie Simpson, because much as I am a fan of Bon Jovi, I don't actually know any other members aside from John Bon Jovi himself. And I'm not a Busted fan, so I never would have known about Charlie. So yeah, all the others I've managed to get off my own back, and I'm very, very proud of myself for that. So yeah, thanks very much everybody for tuning in again, and I will see you all for the next episode on Saturday. I have to say, this point in the competition where it's like the 7 is like my favourite point of the show because we're getting all the guest judges in, and I love seeing guest judges reacting to the singers as much as the regular judges. And we've got Stephen Mulhern, like he belongs on a mad show like this, so I can't wait to see how he reacts. So yes, I will see you guys on Saturday and have a lovely night. Ta-ta, everybody.